Hello. This is the Social Distancing Reading Series, a project of the Vermont School and Green Mountains Review. I'm Jenny Molberg. I'm the author of REFUSAL, that it's recently out from LSU Press. Thank you for joining me here in my home office in Kansas City, Missouri, where hopefully I'll see you at AWP next year. A little bit about me. I'm the author of 2 collections of poetry. The first is Marvels of the Invisible, which is published by Tupelo Press and won the 2014 Berkshire Prize, and more recently REFUSAL from LSU Press. I received a fellowship from the National Endowment for the Arts for poetry last year, and also fellowships and scholarships from the Sewanee Writers Conference and Vermont Studio Center, as well as the Longleaf Writers Conference. I'm also the co-editor of a collection of the Unsung Masters series on Adelaide Crapsey, so check out the Unsung Masters series online as well. So I'm going to read 4 poems from REFUSAL for you today. They have all been published in Green Mountains Review. So the first 2 I'll read were published in this wonderful issue, and then the second 2 I'll read are in the latest issue of Green Mountains Review, in which the editor, Elizabeth Powell, did a wonderful folio on Kansas City poets, which I'm very honored to be a part of. So this first poem is called Said the Poet, and the speaker symbolizes a figure in the literary community who has abused or mishandled their position of power. Said the poet, "You are a frozen pond with fish pulsing beneath. Look in the mirror. Say you're beautiful. Why don't you touch me more? Why are you holding yourself? I killed the only pet I ever loved. This isn't yelling. This isn't my definition of yelling. My own father yells until my mother is silent as a sea cave. Asleep, you are my bird, underground in a box. I want to touch all your feathers. I swear I'll be better. Wake up. Your friends don't love you. Your family doesn't love you. I am a good person. I am a good poet. Once I stood on the train tracks too long. I am the victim here. I didn't sleep with that student. Marry me. I hated you last night. Be the mother of my children. I have a very good reputation. My childhood was dappled with henbit. Why won't you open the door? Why aren't you answering me? You should be ashamed of yourself. You are a cricket. I am the light. Be with me forever. Why are you afraid? Get down on your knees and say you're sorry. Have another drink. Take off your clothes. Try getting angry. It feels so good." The list. A forest opened, and there was a table with tea sandwiches and a bright red kettle, and God said, "Have a seat." I had been lost in the woods a long time, running from the man who was trying to kill me. I kept wanting to turn back until I made so many circles I didn't recognize my own feet. All the trees had changed. Now I believed what he said. I was crazy, cruel, a child. With feet like fish in the silver light, I stepped around the bodies of deer strewn across the forest floor as apples. I did not look at the yellow wolves that fed on them. God said, "I know you love to read." Her hair was short, and she had the gray eyes of my sister. "I know how you love language," she said as she poured some tea. The cup was not chipped. When I looked through the leaves, I saw the faces of the children I thought I would have with the man who could not love me. God handed me some paper. "Make a list," she said. "After each number, write, 'I am.'" God said, "Yourself is your context. You know the definitions. You've read every page." Her eyes were moons of invisible planets. I was ready to read my list aloud, but God would not let me. "Cross out number 5, she said. An arrow landed in my heart. 5. I am a good friend, I had written. The forest narrowed, and around the edges of my sight a blackness crept in. "Can anyone do this to you?" God asked me. "Are you going to let a man do this to you?" "Cross out number 8, she said. 8. I deserve to be loved. I could not speak for the pain in my chest. "Who is going to do this to you?" She was beginning to shout. "Who?" Got a little frog in my throat. Let's hope it's nothing. Okay. So one thing that this book does is there's a collection of poems in which an Ophelia character who is sort of a modern day Ophelia, who has she's equipped with things that perhaps the original Ophelia wasn't equipped with, and that came from me reading a critic who said that without Hamlet, Ophelia has no story. So I transcribed her lines all on their own and realized this is a story of gaslighting. And so I decided that I wanted to sort of rewrite Ophelia in a way in which, you know, a male writer and the male characters in the play weren't enforcing her end upon her. So that Ophelia figure in the book collides with the Demogorgon of Dungeons and Dragons or Stranger Things, if you're familiar. Also, the Demogorgon has a very rich literary history. So the Demogorgon becomes this sort of like figure for what Ophelia must defeat. And it becomes kind of an epic battle. So I'm going to read you a couple of poems from Green Mountains Review that are in that world. Ophelia meets Demogorgon. Dress still dripping, Ophelia rocks in a white wood chair at the roadside diner, counting all her vengeances. There's fennel for you and columbines, a down, she chuckles. She enjoys a good gin cocktail, takes the stones from her pockets, arranges them in a star at her feet. She's alone. It's delicious. In the trees she hears some rustling and a face like a flower emerges, a face she's never seen before, something for her collection, she thinks. This reptilian bloom face, attached to a lithe, man-like body, saunters toward her as an insect on its wiry legs. She is not afraid, woods glazed in a gimlet haze, and the worst, she thinks, is behind her. The petals of his face fold back, and there is something wondrous in all those shining teeth, in all those ligaments and ribs. A large black lightning cloud descends over the woods, and Demogorgon kneels before her, picks up a stone, and swallows it whole. This deference, this act resembling knightly duty, excites her. Ophelia slays Demogorgon. The dog will have his day, as some dude once said. And this is it. I return to my brook, pockets full of rue, wade in until its cold hands cup my ankles, my hips, my breasts, my neck, till my hair fans around me like, what else? A fan. This isn't meant to be pretty. All Ophelia as muse, all Ophelia's poetic death. No one paid me for that. I flip over. This, my astral plane, the brook, my sensory deprivation chamber. I close my eyes. The water fills my ears. They are not seashells, but ears. I could hold my breath for days. It is here, beneath the water, I do not float, where the world flips. I cross over, swimming away from my body like a soul. Now I walk. Dark, the floor, slick, a sickening sound, a wet tail slapping water. I do not need my hands in the dark. I have already been dead. Come, monster. There he is, kissing the child I never had. No, he is stealing her breath. he infects her. With all my rue, I summon my suicide, the rage definite as an incision. Come, channel. Come, impossible light. He whines. He curses my name. I've heard it all before. With my mind, I drive into the monster until he breaks. His body bursts, hundreds of black, frantic moths. Then ash. I am the one who lives. I realize I have some time, so I think I'll read just one more from this Ophelia series. This is originally published in Juxtaprose. Loving Ophelia is. Loving Ophelia is loving a ghost. And loving a ghost is loving yourself. And loving yourself is a sudden sorrow. And a sudden sorrow is the place where the river pools. And the place where the river pools is not suicide. And not suicide is confronting the unknown. And confronting the unknown is the active condition of womanhood. And the active condition of womanhood is the beauteous nature of Denmark. And the beauteous nature of Denmark is lovesickness. And lovesickness is obsession with a version of yourself. And obsession with a version of yourself is egomania. And egomania is a room of mirrors. And a room of mirrors is love and hate simultaneously. And love and hate simultaneously is the trick of abuse. And the trick of abuse is a vexation of the mind. And a vexation of the mind is the feeble dawn of gaslight and tea. And the feeble dawn of gaslight and tea is an overbearing husband. And an overbearing husband is a soliloquy of cliches. And a soliloquy of cliches is the misery of scholars. And the misery of scholars is an old friend's skull. And an old friend's skull is a sudden sorrow. And a sudden sorrow is holding one's breath. And holding one's breath is swimming away. And swimming away is the other shore on which Ophelia has woken. Thank you so much for tuning in and for listening. I hope everybody stays safe and simultaneously connected in whatever way that makes sense. Thank the gods for and the goddesses for the internet, so we can stay close to our friends and family, metaphorically, of course. Also, please visit Green Mountain's website to check out a short Q&A with me. And I wanted to mention, if you enjoyed these poems today, I highly suggest that you pick up Tracy Brimhall's Come the Slumberless to the Land of Nod. This is a wonderful book just out with Copper Canyon. And also, I don't have my copy to show you, but please consider picking up Rue by Catherine Nuremberger. Catherine and I were on book tour together, and it got canceled and we came home early. And it's just a wonderful collection. So check that out too. And Rue is published by Boa Editions. Okay. Thank you so much.